The Auburn Tigers are headed back to the postseason, and let's get in here and give out some regular season awards on this live edition of the Uptempo Podcast. What is up tempo gang? What is up, Auburn family? How are we doing on this Sunday morning? It's your guy Blake Lane. It's your guy Dustin Smith. We
Yeah,
are
man.
back for another episode, a baseball episode on this Sunday morning. And Dustin, we got a lot to talk about, man. The Auburn Tigers are headed back to the postseason. The Auburn Tigers went to Oxford, Mississippi. Some feel like they did enough to secure a top 8 seed. We'll talk about that. And we'll give out some regular season awards. And it was a fun year on the baseball side of things, man. How you doing on this Sunday?
I'm doing a lot better than I was a year ago on this day, Blake.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man, good year, solid year. Wasn't sure in this era of the transfer portal exactly how it would land. You just had new pieces. You know, we'll get into the guys like Sammy Dutton and all that, we didn't know how they were going to turn out, but confident in the head man, confident in the guy running the program that this was going to be the bounce back year that it was. And it's been fun, man. I mean, from the moment football season ended, you had a basketball team that went on the run and was a top 10, top 5 team all season long. And you just had a baseball team that slowly progressed as the season went on and proved that they were a top 10 team as well. So it's been a fun couple months to be an Auburn fan, brother.
Ooh, I agree with you. I actually I made a post the other day. I think it was on Facebook, and I said, it'd be crazy if I got to take a trip to San Antonio for a Final Four. And I also, in that same calendar year, got to go to Omaha, Nebraska. I think that'd be really cool as an Auburn fan. And the first 2 times we made it to Omaha, I did not go on the trip. I did not say, hey, I want to go to Omaha and watch Auburn play because, and it might be a bad fan or whatever, but I looked at it and I was like, man, we don't have a chance to win that thing. Like, I'm just happy we made it. I'm glad that we got there and our baseball program is on the biggest stage. Like, you're at the mega of college baseball, man. But this year, I think we can win the whole damn thing. And I know everybody, you jump here when we play Ole Miss and you say, oh man, here we go again, the 2023 Auburn baseball team. Like, this is the same thing that happened. Like, they're going cold. And look, y'all, Ole Miss is a really good baseball team. They win 15 SEC games, 16 SEC games, something like that, 16 and 14.
Yeah, we were both 16 and 14 going in, right? Yeah, so I was going to get to 17 Sunday.
Yeah, so like they finished above 500 in SEC play. Like that, you can't knock them. They're a good ball club. I think Auburn just went on the road and they were hot and they got touched up the first 2 games. And it's baseball. It happens, in my opinion. I think, once you had all that success against South Carolina last weekend, you win 3 games, you sweep them, you did what you were supposed to do. You had to come in and expect that to not happen again. And Dustin, I think it sucked losing the series, but you salvaged the series and you did what you needed to do. You just couldn't get swept. Like, the talking heads around college baseball were just saying, don't get swept. And I think Auburn did what they needed to do. They bounced back yesterday, and it looked like, oh boy, here we go again, And they battled back. I think that showed that how good this team is, how bonded together they are. And I think they're on a mission, Dustin. And what do you feel like happened in Oxford?
Man, it's weird. It's really weird. You look at it, feels like in all 3 major sports, we have this one place where we just don't play well, right?
Yeah.
Where even with good teams, Good football teams have lost a lot of games in Baton Rouge that they should have won. Good Auburn basketball teams at this point cannot win in Gainesville, and
Yep.
good baseball teams for Auburn have historically struggled in Oxford. And part of that is, like you said, like they're a consistent baseball program. They're a
Yep.
good baseball program. They have another good team this year. Them winning the series may have put them in the situation where they're going to host a regional. And all the projections were showing them as a 2 seed. So they probably will still come out as a 2 seed, but they gave themselves a good possibility beating a team that's third in RPI in Auburn 2 out of 3 times. So when I felt like this was always going to be a difficult series, I always just wanted to take one if we weren't going to win it, because like Ole Miss had a lot to play for too. Yeah, Auburn's trying to lock up an 8 seed, but Ole Miss has got stuff to play for as well. Seeding in the SEC tournament on the line, both teams with similar records and all that. So, you know, energy kind of felt like it was down game 1 and 2. You've all season you've counted on Sam Dutton
Mm-hmm.
come out there and be that guy, and he wasn't this weekend. So that one kind of hurts you. But the thing that I did like about it is didn't feel like you really had to win this series, but you also, like you just said, you feel like you couldn't get swept, and you
Yep.
lose the first 2. So you could argue maybe the biggest game of your season is the last game of the season, and then you get down big early, and this
Mm-hmm.
team fought back, man, and showed what they're made of. And I think that to me, when I look at this year's baseball team and last year's baseball team, is the big difference, is the leadership. They're just, I can see, I don't even have to be there. I can see Cooper McMurray stepping up in that dugout and being that vocal leader. When I felt like at times last year, Auburn's down 8-3 early in a ball game they need to win, and they're just going to fold it up. And a lot of that to me last season felt like guys weren't vocal enough. And me and you know some things that were kind of happening behind the scenes where those guys
Mm-hmm.
were all together. This year, that's not the case. You have a ball club that is together. You have leadership on the team that is being vocal, using its veteran presence and being leaders. And you saw that on full display. And what have we talked about? Football, basketball, baseball, everything, Blake, where your best players got to be leaders. Your best players got to be dogs. It can't just be the guy that, well, because he's in his 5th or 6th year, and that's why he's leading the team. It helps a
Right.
lot when the guy that is the vocal leader and is bringing the juice is Ike freaking Irish. That's a big part of it
Yeah.
too. So it's like I can follow you in a lot of ways because you're performing in every way imaginable. So I just felt like this team kind of showed you what they were made of in that game 3 of the series. You always want to win the series. It's disappointing, but last game of the season, you had your backs up against the wall. You knew you had your back against the wall coming into the game, and then the game starts, and you really have your back up against the wall.
Yeah.
And this team dug deep and showed us what they were. So all in all, man, I'm good with it. I'm not going to take too much out of losing this series.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that because look, you won 7 out of 10 SEC series.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, look, I love all you Auburn baseball fans. I do. I love you to death. But I feel like you just immediately started hitting the panic button. You were just like, oh my God, panic, panic, panic. And I was like, hey, chill out. You know, it's okay. It's fine. If you win 7 out of 10 SEC series, you're going to the postseason. Auburn is going to host a regional. I think Auburn hosts a super regional if you do your job and get out of it. Because we know the last time we hosted a regional, we went 0-2. So I love hearing your response there. If you're not going to take too much out of it, I'm not either. I do think Sammy D needs to bounce back.
Yeah.
One thing that I kind of talk with some people is we've also been thrown around in scheduling the last 3 weekends. The last 3 weekends have been absolutely insane with moving game times, moving up days, moving back days, playing double headers, things like that with pitching. It does mess with them mentally, man. Like,
Right.
you know, and it's also the rest on the arm and all that stuff. Like, stuff like that matters. And I don't know if that has something to do with what Sammy D is going through right now. In my opinion, I still think he looks a little tired. I just think we need some rest. But I like what Cam Tilley showed in game 1. I just think he's got to stop walking and hitting people. He gets later into the game, loses some command. and he'll hit a guy, or he'll walk a guy on 4 pitches and then hit a guy. We got to stop doing that, because walks and hitting batters gives offenses life. It gives them a spark, man. It's like cancer. It spreads. All right, it just spreads through the lineup. So I love Cam Tilley, and I love Sam Dutton. Chatterton is a freshman. Boy, hype me all the way up, because we're going to have a blast with him in an Auburn uniform. We're going to have a blast with him. He's just a true freshman. We still got time to grow there. So I think what you're doing with the pitching staff, and the reason they've kind of switched it up towards the end, is yes, the weather did play a factor in it, but I looked at the projections from D1. They have Fairfield as the 4 seed in your regional. And I think Cam Tilley's going to get the ball in game 1, and you're going to go Cam Tilley against Fairfield, and you're going to save Sam Dutton for that game 2, that winner's bracket game. And so that's why you've kind of seen Sam switch to that game 2 role, because you want Cam to throw game 1 and then Sammy D to throw that game 2. And that's where I sit on that. I think you got to do it. I know everybody's like, well, you got to win the first one. Yeah, but your offense should beat Fairfield. Right. If Auburn was to lose to Fairfield, it's because our offense didn't show up. And I would say, at that point, hey, look, it just wasn't meant to be. All right. So I think your offense can handle Fairfield. You save Sammy D for that game 2, that winner's bracket game. And then you have Chatterton, Alvarez, Fisher, all these cats lined up, because then you would have to get double dipped in the championship in your own regional at Plainsman Park. I don't know. I don't think that would happen. But here we go, man. Let's give out some regular season awards. And Brett, I see your question over there, brother. We will get to that in just a second. Once we give out these awards, we will talk about the SEC tournament, and then we will talk about, can the Auburn Tigers get a top 8 national seed? So I think the SEC tournament is going to play a factor in it. But look, don't hold your heads over the Ole Miss series. It's over. It's done. I think Auburn did what they needed to do, and we're going to be just fine. And we'll talk about that top 8 national seed here in a second. But regular season awards, man. What a year it was. True freshmen, transfers, guys that have been in the Auburn program, Dustin, for years, man. This team bonded together, and it was magical to watch how they started against Holy Cross and ended against Ole Miss. Just the maturation of this squad, Butch Thompson leading the way. I thought it was just something to see, because I remember, Dustin, those people who were saying that Butch needed to be fired last year, and that 8-22 was unacceptable. And where were we going as a baseball program? And he had taken us to as far as we could go, and which is crazy to me, because he took us to Omaha twice.
Right.
Twice. And before Butch, Omaha was a thing of the past for Auburn. It was a thing of the past. We weren't used to that kind of success, and then all of a sudden you want to fire the man? You want to fire him for what? Because he had one bad year? That would be like Arkansas when they went 7-23 or whatever, and that you think they should have fired Dave Van Horn? No, because everybody goes through that, man. Everybody has that one season where it just doesn't go their way. Hell, look at Texas A&M this year, Dustin. That's my point right there.
Well, I would say too, Blake, that in this, now that it's gone more towards the portal, there might be years where good programs and good coaches just miss. They just miss on a couple guys. The team doesn't come together. I think you might see that more from programs and coaches that wouldn't normally happen to. But you got so many new guys coming in every single year. Maybe you miss on a couple of them.
Well, it's like, look at Mississippi State. Okay. They were projected to be like a top 15 team this year. They were bad. They started 1-8 in conference play. Now they finished 15-15 because they fired somebody.
Right.
But you're gonna have those years, man. Like they started off very, very poorly, and I think them firing Lamonis was the right move. And a lot of people disagreed with me when I had on Caleb. I said that they needed to pull the trigger on that one because those kids just looked like they wasn't playing for him, and it sparked them ever since. Man, they're on a heater right now. But look, let's get in here to these awards, and it is the 2025 Auburn Baseball Regular Season Award Show. Let's call it that, Dustin.
Yeah.
And let's start with Offensive Player of the Year for you, man. You have Ike Irish in the slot. Talk a little bit about Ike and why you gave him the Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh, he's an effing dog.
Yeah, he is.
It's the numbers are the numbers. But man, it's his approach.
Yeah.
It's just the way that he plays the game. Every time that the team needs a little bit of juice, he provides it. And I think for me, Offensive Player of the Year, obviously he leads the team in home runs. What's his batting average? Finish up at 354.
Yep.
354. Leads the team with 16 home runs. He just and the fact that he's not sneaking up on nobody.
Yep.
Like they're preparing for one guy, right? I mean, they got multiple guys prepared for, but if there's one guy that we can stop here, it's Ike Irish. I mean, you just saw it. They walked him to get to Coop, and hey, Coop's still doing his thing, so good luck with that. But it's just all around the power, the average, and the clutch. Like if you need a big hit, he's gonna do it for you. How many times this year, Blake, has Auburn been down early? Say it's 3-0 in the third inning, and he slaps one over the fence and gets the boys going.
Yep.
It's just so consistent, and it's been consistent from the moment he stepped on campus. I think there was like one little lull last year where he kind of struggled to play for a couple of weeks. And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I think he was banged up at that time. But other than that, it's just been, hey, I'm this dude from game one until yesterday. From the moment he's put on the uniform, he's been an absolute weapon. I don't see any world where this guy doesn't go play Major League Baseball and be productive at the plate. It's so natural. He makes it look so easy. And that's the thing is, how difficult baseball is. And Ike Irish just makes it look like, yeah, I step up to the plate and I slap balls in the gap, bro. And then he's not a one-trick pony. He can do it all up there. And he's patient. He'll take the walk if it's there. He's not going to try to force anything. He's been a pro, and it was obvious very early this year, especially like a couple of series in the SEC play. This guy's ready for AA, AAA ball right now.
Yep.
He's just that dude, Blake, and he's been that dude. To me, the biggest threat at the plate for Auburn on this team. We got some guys, and he's been that for 3 years now, probably.
I totally agree. I've said it. The first game I watched him play against Indiana in an Auburn uniform, I said, hey, this kid right here is absolutely electric. He is special. I said that Ike Irish would probably end up having a statue next to Frank Thomas outside of Plainsman Park. And I think if Auburn goes to Omaha this year and then he goes on to have a great pro career and he gets to the show and he has some success, I think that happens. And I also think you might disagree with me. A lot of Auburn fans might disagree with me, but he would surpass Sonny DeShera. And that's not a knock to Sonny. It's just the greatness of Ike, right? I think if Auburn goes to Omaha and he gets drafted, and I think he's going to be a first round pick. And so I think he would, on the baseball Mount Rushmore, you got to move somebody off of it to put Ike Irish up there. That's how special he is for us Auburn baseball fans. So,
how many guys in this day and age would have left last year and went to an LSU or went to play at an Arkansas or something like that? Like you got the ability to transfer in the portal. He probably could have made more NIL money somewhere else. He has stayed true to Auburn, man, since he committed in high school.
Dustin, that's probably, since we're recapping the 2025 season, that's probably my favorite moment. That's probably my favorite moment of the season is when he toasted Stanfield. And he got to third and he turned around and he said, "Hey, it's Auburn, bro. It's Auburn." Because I think the guys felt like Stanfield, and it's not a knock to Chris, hey, go do your thing, dog. You transferred, that's great. But I think they felt like Chris was transferring to LSU and he was basically saying, "Hey, I'm better than Auburn, so I'm going to go to LSU, a program that is, in my opinion, the greatest college baseball program of all time." And I think they took it as a slap in the face of Chris saying, "Hey, I'm better than Auburn. Let me go to LSU. Let me take my talents to LSU." And so I think that's why they were so hyped up. And Ike said, "Hey, I could have done the same thing, bro. I could have done the same thing, but I
Yep.
didn't because I'm loyal to Auburn." And then when I sent that tweet out a couple weeks ago, some cat said, "Well, he stayed at Auburn because he got money." Okay, so he got a performance-based raise.
Yeah.
So usually what happens on your job, right, Dustin, is when you do your job correctly and you do it right and you do it on time and you're super successful at it and you continuously do it, you usually get a raise, right? Yeah, I
How
think
it's supposed to work.
that's
Yeah.
how it's supposed to work, and I think, you at the end of the year, a lot of people get bonuses and end of the year bonuses and Christmas bonuses and all that. So Ike Irish got a bonus. And I think, you know, not a lot of people make sense to me with that stuff. Well, he stayed because he got a raise. He stayed because he got money. Well, okay, a lot of people,
Yeah.
when you
That's
play
what you got to
well,
do now. Yeah.
yeah, when you play well, look, um, if Jackson Arnold would have played well at Oklahoma, he probably would have got a little pay raise and he probably would have stayed.
Mm.
And he's in the portal and he ends up at Auburn. So I just think that's how it goes, and I think Chris felt a little, uneasy, I guess you could say, of he didn't find himself in the lineup last year that much and he wanted out. And so, hey, I think Ike let him know, and that was one of my favorite moments of the season. I loved it when Ike did that because he was saying, Ike was responding to Chris and saying, "I could have went to Texas A&M. I could have went to Texas. I could have went to LSU, Georgia, Vandy. But I didn't. I stayed true to my commitment. I stayed true to my word, and I stayed true to this clubhouse." So I love that. I love that pick for Offensive Player of the Year. I'm going to go Cooper McMurray, Dustin,
Let's go.
because here's why. Stay with me, folks. Coop is protecting Ike in this lineup. And as you saw yesterday, and in a lot of situations this year, they're going to walk Ike Irish. And I made a point at the beginning of the year, Coop has to hit in order for this Auburn offense to be great. If he doesn't hit, Auburn's offense is in trouble. And Cooper McMurray answered the bell this year. And he made people pay all year. Only 2 bombs behind Ike. I think Ike has 16, Coop has 14. I wanted to pull up this little stat real quick for Cooper McMurray and how impressive he's been. Uh, Average is 333. OPS is 1.037. That's insane, man. We're 55 games in, I believe. And he has started and played every single game. He has the most ABs on the team at 210. He has 45 runs, 70 hits, 15 doubles, 14 bombs, 57 RBIs. He has 127 total bases, y'all. His slugging percentage is .605. He has 33 walks on the year, 6 hit by pitches, struck out 56 times. I would like to see that come down a little bit, but we're at the end now, so keep doing your thing, Coop.
Right.
On base percentage is .433. That's what, 26 points lower than Ike's. I mean, I just, the numbers are there for me with Coop, and I think he had all the pressure in the world on him, hitting behind Ike Irish and protecting him, being that stick where you knew they were going to walk Ike to get to you, and you made them pay every single time. So that is why I picked Cooper McMurray. I also love his defense at first. But when we moved to Defensive Player of the Year, I thought he was exceptional over there this year at 1B. But Defensive Player of the Year, Dustin, tell me why you got Bub Terrell, man. I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah, dude. Consistency for one. He's been out there. He's been good all year out there in the outfield. We talked about it. I think I kind of made mention of it on one of the football shows we did. This guy is just so dynamic, and it's my favorite kind of baseball player to watch. Personally, my favorite is, like I told you, is Andrew McCutchen. I love a dynamic guy that can do a little bit of everything. And Bub's that dude. I know that at the plate has kind of dipped off a little bit as the season's gone on. I'm not too worried about it. He's a freshman playing SEC ball. It's a long season. But out there in the outfield, man, some of the splash plays are just incredible. And then the juice that brings to your team when you do it at home, what that brings to the ballpark. And just a guy that, again, has done it from day one. And it's just been really, really impressive to me, man. Whenever you get a guy like this, you kind of wonder, like, how long is it gonna last?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is he gonna hit that wall? And as far as defensively goes, he's been so consistent with it. And also, Blake, what we lost, like, we've had Bobby Pierce for so long out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being that dynamic guy that can make all those plays. And I was worried about that. Who's that guy going to be? And you got a guy in Bub Terrell who he's just no ball is out of his range. And he's so dynamic. He's so fun to watch. That's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, this was tough because, like you made mention, I almost picked Coop, but I'm going to heap. There's a bigger conversation to have about Coop where I'm going to heap a whole lot of praise on him. Obviously, you see him there at the end for me. So those are my two finalists. It was down to Bub and it was down to Coop. But just some of those plays that Bub has made out there, some of those spectacular splash plays kind of put him over the top for me.
Yeah, I think I also would throw Eric Guevara in this conversation.
Yeah, the injury. If he, just appearances in reps is kind of what kept him out for me there.
And I think his ability to play, man, pretty much anywhere. I think you could also look Rembert. I know you see him at the end of the graphic there, but Rembert, another guy, Chase Fralick, another guy that could be on the Defensive Player of the Year for me. Sure. Auburn had multiple guys we could have put in here. Hell, I'll be honest with you. I know he had a couple. Hiccups, but you could even throw Ike Irish on this list for me.
He had a nice play this weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, and the assist in the outfield. And I know he's not a traditional outfielder, and he's had some moments where you're just like, yeesh, what's going on there. But the Ike Irish move and the Chase Fralick move is what set this team apart, man. It is what put this team over the top. Chase Fralick being able to come in and play catcher and catch all 3 games in Knoxville and say, hey, don't worry about it. Don't put Ike back here. Don't switch this lineup. Electric stuff, man. That has been something that I've been locked in on, is Fralick's ability to keep runners at bay. Because in the past, we've had a lot of trouble with teams running on us, just taking bags. And, you get somebody like Fralick, who's a true freshman, and you're like, man, this dude's really just going to step in here straight out of high school and just dominate the SEC behind the plate with the stick and behind the plate, calling his own game. Auburn calls their own game, people.
Yeah.
Like, he's a freshman doing this. So I think there's a ton of people you could put on this list. But let me tell you something about Bub Terrell. I sent out a tweet the other day. In the Tennessee series, he was struggling at the plate, wasn't seeing it well. And like you said, on the back half of the season, it has been a struggle for him. He's found his swing a little bit here and there in spots, but majority of the time it has been a struggle. But the thing with Bub, man, is he doesn't carry it. He doesn't carry it out into the field, and he doesn't let it affect his defensive play. That play against Tennessee, where he come out of nowhere, sliding in and just snagging it off the turf. I said, "Hey, dude,
You're sick.
stop, bro! Like you're showing out. You're showing out right now." But that's what it takes to be great. Because I know a lot of dudes who go 0 for 4 at the plate with 3 Ks. They're going out in the field and they're hanging their heads and then they make an error because they're still thinking about that AB where they're like, man, I look terrible up there. You can't let it affect it on the other side, man. You can't. You can't. You have to clear your head, go out there and play defense. I think Bub Terrell's arm is great. He has the ability to play all 3 positions out there. He did it this year.
Yep.
He started that game against Jack State in center field, so that gave him the check mark there. Just a phenomenal player, man, and I think he's going to have a whole lot of success at Auburn.
He played well in that game too in center field. I remember that.
Yeah,
He looked great.
yeah. And we do need Cade to get healthy. And shout out to Bristol Carter for him transferring in and stepping in and being a great defensive player. Showed some life this weekend offensively, and I think he's a great base runner. And I just love the additions that we brought in from the portal and the way they gelled with this team, man. I really do. I think it's been really fun to watch. But let's go to relief pitcher of the year, man. I got Hetzler. You got Parker Carlson. Tell me a little bit about Parker Carlson and your pick there, Dustin.
Yeah, so I know it's a popular narrative to be like, oh, Auburn pitching whenever the other team starts to get some runs and all that. But you kind of remember that it's college baseball. So, like, still a lot of these kids are not going to make it to the big leagues, even though this is the SEC. So there's still going to be guys that come out there that just can't find the strike zone and all that, So I'm not on that train of thought, and I'm not being negative towards Auburn's bullpen. I think I kind of struggled with this one a little bit because it just feels to me like at certain times, not even inconsistent because overall they've been above average, but like Carson Myers come out there and he might throw gas. And then the next time he might not be able to find the strike zone. So for me, it's just I try to look at who has been the most consistent, the most trustworthy all year, and I feel the most comfortable in a tight game. Something goes wrong in the 4th or 5th inning when Parker has to come out there. 3 wins, 1 loss in the season, ERA of 3.96. I know there's been times when it hasn't been great. There's times when it has been, but that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I like your pick too. And I like Cam Tilley. I know he's kind of moved out of starting role and everything. We have guys. Dylan Watts could come out there and make something happen. Other times he can't. So this one was hard for me, Blake. I struggled with this one, but I landed on Parker. And I don't want to sound like I'm down on the bullpen. There just hasn't been like one guy where it's like every single time type thing. But I also don't freak out when anybody comes out there because I know that they're all more than likely going to get the job done. So I landed on Parker just due to I think he's been one of the most consistent overall.
No, I mean that's a great pick. I mean the guy's got a .92 WHIP. He has 25 innings pitched. He's give up 18 hits, 11 earned. He's walked 5.
He only walked 5.
29 Ks.
Right.
He has given up the long ball quite a bit with 6 bombs, but
opponent batting average is what, 200?
200. Yeah. That's what I'm looking at here, man. So look, he's a veteran guy. I love the pick. I think he comes in really sticky situations too. He's a guy that you can bring in when you got bases loaded, 1 out, you need a ground ball. I really like what Parker Carlson does, and shout out, he is from Mobile, Alabama, and we know what his older brother did for the Auburn Tigers and all that good stuff, man. So big shout out to him. Love the way he battled back through injury too. He got hurt a little bit there, and he worked himself back in, and somebody that we can rely on and we're going to need in the postseason. So my pick is Ryan Hetzler, the transfer in from – what was it, Cal Baptist, I think, or something like that.
Something.
Yeah, it was wild, man.
First ever heard of the school.
Yeah, 3.9 ERA. He's got a 1.09 WHIP, 2-0, and then he's got 17 appearances. Dude, he's got 7 saves. 7 saves on the year, 31 2/3 innings pitched, 30 hits, 14 earned runs, only 4 walks, 22 Ks. He has given up 7 doubles, only 1 bomb, and opponents are hitting 250 off of him. All right. I love Ryan Hetzler and what he's been able to do. We were looking for a closer, man. We were looking for a closer.
Yeah, sure.
We needed somebody that could come in a one-run game and stop the opposition of taking the lead on us, walking us off, whatever, sending us to extras. And I think Ryan has answered the bell. He answered it yesterday, coming in and giving his best outing, you could say his longest outing, and really holding Ole Miss at bay and not letting them continue to just hit, and hit. So Ryan has done multiple 6-out saves. You know, you saw Auburn bring him in the 8th, the 7th. Like, they don't care. They will stretch Ryan out. They will try to get as much as they possibly can out of him. And that is why he is my pick for relief pitcher of the year. I thought he's been exceptional. Look, Parker Carlson is great. I could have went with him too. But I like your pick there as well. We'll go to starting pitcher, and I think everybody knows who this is, and this is Sammy Boy and Sammy D, the man, Samuel Dutton, whatever you want to call him. You can call him Sam Dutton. I don't care because he's a dog, all right, and he's brought it all year. And regardless of him getting touched up the last 2 times out, let me tell you something, y'all. This is baseball. You're not going to be perfect every single time. You're not going to go out and you're not going to shove every single game. It's just not going to happen. Greg Maddux didn't do it. Garrett Cole doesn't do it. Max Fried doesn't do it. Nolan Ryan didn't do it. There was games where they got touched up. And it's part of baseball, man. You're going to get hit every now and then. But what Sammy D has brought to this rotation, what he has brought to this team, I think, man, in my opinion, he should be in the MVP conversation as well. I don't know how you look at a guy who really changed. I think he changed the clubhouse. I think he changed how you view this team. When we were searching, wondering who was going to take that next step, who was going to be that solid Friday night guy, who was going to step up and bow their neck on that pitching staff. And I think Sammy D did that. That's why I got him as starting pitcher of the year, is because he took that Friday night role and ran with it, Dustin, and he ain't never looked back. And it started with Vandy, and it continued all year. He come out against Tennessee and shoved a series that we desperately needed. He's done it all year long. Look, he went out to Texas, y'all, and he held Texas. He shut their tails down. We just couldn't hit.
Right.
We just couldn't hit. So I know there's a couple questions over in the comments. We'll get to them in just a second. But, Dustin, why did you pick Sammy D for starting pitcher of the year?
Everything you said, just because what it does for obviously he's been the most consistent, 358 batting average, ERA, 6 wins, 3 losses. But what you alluded to, the Friday night situation, when I have a guy in SEC play that I can bring out here on Friday night, and I know that I'm going to start the series out with a strong 6-7 innings out of him, what it does for your bullpen, setting you up for the weekend, obviously keeping your offense in the game and all that kind of stuff. And we know how tough this league is. And for you for every Friday night up until these last couple weekends, you were that guy. I mean, it's just, it's obvious. It speaks for itself. There's no debate on what he's done all year. And I want to give credit to Coach Tiefert because this is the best pitching that Samuel Dutton's done in his career.
Yeah. So
obviously, Coach Tiefert was able to bring him in, identify something that he liked, was able to bring him in and get the best out of him. So, I got to give props to where it's due there. And I know Butch is heavily involved in pitching and all that. So just a big shout out to this staff for the evaluation there, getting a guy that really wasn't wanted by his former program, right? I mean, it's not like we went and stole Samuel.
Yeah, we just made a trade.
Yeah,
just made a trade.
Yeah, we really did. And it kind of worked out for both guys. Chris
It
Stanfield
did.
played the best baseball that he's played, and Samuels played the best for him. So, yeah, just being that guy. Every road, home, he hasn't wavered. He's been the same dude. And I agree with you. I think he's fine. I think he's just fine. I would be willing to bet that the next appearance that he makes, he's going to shove and everything will be good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, I wanna pull up this comment before we move any further because I I disagree here. Jeffrey, I agree with the pitching part. But what has Auburn pitching not done? I don't get what you're trying to say here. Brother, we won 17 games in the toughest conference in the world. How are we not elite? I don't you have two guys, Cam Tilly, who is finding himself. You have Sam Dutton, and then you have a freshman in Chatterton, and you haven't even thrown Cade Fisher the last 2 weekends.
Mm.
So I don't get. Are they going to win it? I don't know. Can they? Yeah, they can. Because when you get to Omaha, Auburn's offense has got to show up. And yes, I get pitching has to be. I get pitching has to be elite. All right, but you also got to hit in Omaha. And Auburn's offense, like when they made it in 22, their offense didn't show up. Their offense got shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Sonny, he showed up. That was about it. So when I look at the pitching, Sammy D can give you a win. Cam Tilly, and then you piggyback Carson Myers off of that, and then John Armstrong and whoever else you want to go to. You piggyback that, man, and I think you could get a win there. And then you got, like I said, Chatterton, Cade Fisher. Where has our pitching not been really, really damn good this year? Because what you're doing is you're looking at what have you done for me lately, and you have watched this pitching staff the last 2 weekends get touched up a little bit, and now all of a sudden you're saying, well, the pitching ain't good. Well, the pitching was pretty damn good in Austin, Texas. We just didn't hit. We didn't hit. Look, I told y'all from the very beginning of the season, your Friday night guy, he can give up about 4 runs. All right. You can win a game 5-4 on Friday night. On Saturdays, all across college baseball, look at the scores. You're going to have to score 9-10 runs to win games. Because in college baseball, you usually have 1 to 2 guys who are pretty good starting pitchers. And then that third guy is a freshman that kind of falls off. He's young. And that's just how it is. That's how it is. Look at LSU the year they won it with Paul Skeens. They were struggling there for a minute. They were like, man, they were wondering, they were saying, hey, all we got is Paul Skeens. That's it. And then a dude that had struggled all year long gets to Omaha and shoves, wins them a national championship.
2022, wasn't it Mason Barnett, who was a midweek starter? And then as the season went on, he kind of figured it out. And all of a sudden, he became a guy that we could put in the 3-man rotation. He figured it out. He was great down the stretch. What if Cam Tilly's having that same kind of situation happen to him right now?
That could happen, man. And I thought Cam threw great the other night, Thursday night. I thought he threw great. He just had that one little hiccup right there. And that was it. You know, I do think this Auburn pitching staff, they have depth. They can get you there. Now, like I said, are they going to win it? I don't know. But can they? Yeah, I think they can. The way this Auburn team hits, yes, I think they can. The way this Auburn team hits the long ball, yeah, and it's double elimination. And guess what? Once you get to the championship series, it's the best 2 out of 3. So you start over once you get there. And we've won 7 out of 10 series. on the year. And I bet your bottom dollar on it, you're going to face an SEC team in the national championship. And if you don't, it's going to be Florida State or North Carolina or somebody out of the ACC. Because, like I told y'all, it's a two-conference sport right now. College football is a two-conference sport with the Big Ten and the SEC. College baseball is a two-conference sport with the SEC and the ACC. And college basketball, in my opinion, I think you could have the argument that the Big Ten is kind of boo-boo and the ACC is kind of boo-boo, and that's a one-conference sport if we're really looking at
boo-boo in
yeah,
basketball.
yeah, man, they are boo-boo right now. They're cheese. Oh, the Big 12. The Big 12 is pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
But look, two-conference sport. Put your bottom dollar on an SEC team to win the national championship. And I do think that Auburn has the pitching to reach Omaha and compete in Omaha. Like I said, are they going to win it? I don't know. Can they? I think they can, because I think this is the best Auburn lineup you've had, and that could help the pitching along the way. I think we got a troll in here, man. Tubbs, Tiger, Dutton is done, and so is this team. Cool, man. Cool. You love to see it, man. It's Sunday morning, and you're probably an Alabama fan and all that stuff. So, where you lost 2 out of 3, and you finished behind us in the standings, and we could keep going.
Five series out of 7 or something.
Terrible. Where were we, man? Freshman of the year.
We are on freshman of the year.
Yeah, freshman of the year.
Bring this thing out to the 850, Blake.
The 850, the Pensacola, Florida. Man, I can't say enough about this dude. I'm going to kick it to you first, Dustin. But one thing I will say, one thing I want to say, and I'll take center stage on this real quick. Chris Rembert should be the national freshman of the year. Chris Rembert should be the SEC freshman of the year. Chris Rembert is the best freshman college baseball player in America. And if you say otherwise, you're absolutely clueless on what just happened during this 2025 season, because that kid can do it all. He can play short. He can play second. He can play right field. He can lead Auburn in average at the plate. He can hit for power. He can hit from gap to gap, line to line. It doesn't matter. He can run. He can swipe bags. He can do it all. He is the complete package. He is one of those guys that I look at and I say, man, he has the ability to be a 5-tool player at the next level, because he can hit bombs. He can steal bags. He can do it all. He can play any position on the field, maybe besides catcher. All right. And he was the best SEC freshman of the year, and it's not close. I wanted to take center stage on that, Dustin. I had to get that one off my chest, because I'm tired of people sitting here just because he doesn't play for LSU or Texas or Vandy or somebody like that. They want to down him and say, oh, he's not even in the conversation. And 11.7 then wants to throw up a graphic after they get pounded by Auburn fans and say, oh, yeah, well, now we've got our eyes on Chris Rembert. Brother, open up the geezers, all right? All right, put the gazers on them, all right? And say, hey, here's Chris Rembert. You should have been watching him all year, and if you've watched Auburn baseball, you would have known about him.
Yeah.
So that was a weak graphic, in my opinion, and it was BS. Because the only reason you posted it is because those replies were getting at you. You didn't know a damn thing about Chris Rembert. Get out of here. Go on, Dustin. Let me know, man.
Listen, I got the press credentials right here from that fall ball, and this is
go on now.
The only press credential I've ever saved, because your favorite college team plays in your hometown ballpark. Pretty cool deal. Man, he just went off. He just went off that day, and I remember thinking, like, okay, because obviously he's there early, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least he wasn't there. But what I'm saying is he was first college baseball at all. It's before his freshman season, fall ball of his freshman year. The whole place, even the Florida State fans, are pulling for him. So there was like 8,000 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Florida State fans, they're from Pensacola too. They're like, I do want to see this kid shine. He was the best player on the field. So, I mean, you can't take too much of it because it's fall ball, but it's like, well, he did smash the baseball at every at bat. He is the fastest player out here. He is one of the best fielders out here. It's so funny. I didn't do a whole lot of content or coverage on him, even though he played baseball 15 minutes up the road from me in high school, because I never thought he was going to come to Auburn. I thought he was going right to high A, maybe double A ball out of high school.
Yeah.
That was the word around town. I was like, maybe, man, because he loves the school of Auburn and he loves the coaching staff there. That was the whole thing. It's possible. But as far as like, he's getting good grades back from Major League Scouts.
Yep.
Perfect game guy, everything that goes in with that. So I didn't know if he was even going to come to bat 355, 10 home runs. Man, how many times this year has he hit one like off the end of his bat, little dribble to third, that anybody else would have been out?
Yep.
He beats the throw. So he's got that in his toolbox. How many times he just slapped one over the Josh Donaldson hitting center where you're like, I don't know where that ball even landed.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you have a guy that you can move him around the infield. You can do whatever you need to do with him, and he looks comfortable in that spot. You don't feel like you're forcing it, right? Ike has got better in the outfield as the season's gone on, but there were times early where you're like, man, we're kind of trying to find a spot for Ike here right now. Chris just looks so natural wherever he is on the field. He looks fine. He's such a natural athlete. He's just so gifted in so many areas. And he's got 2 more years at Auburn, and then he will go pro. And it'll be one of those things, just like Ike Irish. We're so lucky that on Ike's exit year, you have another true freshman coming in that I know it kind of feels a little crazy to say it right now, but guys, he's just as good. He's just as good.
Yep.
He's going to get drafted just as high as Ike. He's going to be a productive Major League Baseball player. In what world is he not? He has everything.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you can get guys, I won't name names. Some of them may have been mentioned already in this podcast. You can get guys that come in as highly touted freshmen that have a little bit of an ego. And maybe it doesn't necessarily work out for them at Auburn anyway. This kid, man, when I talked to him after the fall ball game, Blake, humble, great family, quiet kid, but that quiet dog. Not like there's a fire in there. There's a fire in there. Man, mentality, obviously the way he plays baseball, everything about it. And what's great as an Auburn fan is he was so good that freshman of the year on Auburn is not really debatable because, like you just said, he's the best freshman in college baseball. I'm going to agree with you on that. For sure in the SEC. So it makes it like a clear-cut conversation for Auburn. But in a normal year, Auburn's got several candidates that deserve consideration for freshman of the year. We got some guys. One of them got defensive player of the year for us. We got some young guys that can play baseball, man, all over the field, outfield, infield, pitching staff. We got some dudes, man. We crushed it this last recruiting class. We absolutely crushed it. And shout out to OTV because we know the scholarship situation that Auburn has in the state of Alabama to be able to get guys like Chris Rembert in. You can't do it without that. Man, I knew from the moment that he made the decision to go to Auburn, it's up. Now, I didn't think it was 355 freshman year in the SEC up.
Yeah.
But my goodness, man, he's dangerous. He's phenomenal. I agree with everything you said about the best freshman in college baseball. And if he keeps on this trajectory, if we're saying that Ike Irish is going to go down as one of the best Auburn baseball players ever, he's still got 2 more seasons to do it. If he keeps doing this, Chris Rembert's a guy, man.
I think that was perfectly put. I'll tell you,
love it.
I'll tell you something else. I think you can also throw, we talked about him earlier, Chase Fralick in that conversation of just being a dude who was a freshman, come in and just give this team a spark. And the numbers that he put up, you thought Chase would slow down at the plate, and he hasn't. He hasn't one bit, and he's been phenomenal back there, just continuing to catch games after game after game and
Yeah.
leave Ike out there in right field. We want to give him his praise too, Chase Fralick there. But Chris Rimbert, can't say enough about him, freshman of the year, and I don't think it's close. I put that tweet out last week. If he had LSU or Texas on his chest, there wouldn't even be a vote. It wouldn't even be a conversation. So MVP.
Mm.
Dustin, I know you got a lot to say about this one. I'll give you center stage, brother. Let us know about Coop, man.
Look, because he could have been offensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about him in suggestion of defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And the work, man, I know the work that this young man has put in behind the scenes in his time at Auburn. And, you know, we know you've had these conversations with these guys about how sometimes the football game will be going on and they're doing batting practice. Think about that for a second. You're still a college kid, right? You're still 21, 22 years old, and there's 90,000 people right across the street. Super hype atmosphere that millions are watching on TV, and you're doing something as monotonous as sitting there, working on your craft, hitting the baseball, working on your technique over and over and over again. So the work that Coop has put in, I know how hard he's worked. This team, like I alluded to earlier, needed a certain style of leader after last year. And I think that Cooper is, by personality wise, kind of one of those quieter guys that maybe opens up a little bit when you get to know him type. But he's not just, you see, Ike is, Ike's a little more out there with his, right? I don't think Coop's necessarily that guy. But he had to be this year. He had to be a vocal leader because sometimes people are looking at you whether you want them to or not. And I'm not saying Coop didn't welcome him, but there are certain situations, and Coop was in that situation this year where he just had to be a leader because you've been here this is your third year. You've had plenty of production. People are naturally going to look at you. It's difficult to be at first base, I would imagine, and be that consistent because the ball's always coming to you. But boy, he'll dig it out. He'll go up high. He'll do whatever he has to do. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he has like the highest fielding percentage of any fielder on the team. And then the power, the average. I mean, he's up there in the Auburn record books now with total home runs. So he's right behind Ike, second on the team in home runs. The clutch ABs. And then everything you said about offensive player of the year. You got to protect Ike. Boy, that's a tough decision, isn't it? Do I walk Ike Irish and now I got to face this guy who has, 2 less home runs and his average is slightly under? A lot of times you see with like a power hitter like Coop, man, where they're not patient. And I think he does a good job at that. I agree with you. The strikeouts are a little more than you'd like to see, but overall his approaches are always solid. And there's so much that he's done for this team. Again, when your best players are your leaders, he said I think Coop's always been a leader, Blake, but I think he was more so that kind of leader to where watch what I'm doing, watch how I work, watch how I behave. And then I think some things went sideways last year where in the clubhouse on a Wednesday when there's no game going on, or maybe some guys aren't getting along because there's not a culture. The culture wasn't right. I think Cooper McMurray has been a massive part of this year's getting that culture right, getting this team back to focusing on the right things. And then he's been one of the best players, one of the best all-around players on the field. I mean, we saw the weight that he lost in the offseason. He put in the work. It was never going to be a doubt about he was going to have a big season. And for his pro prospects, he needed to have a good year to get looked at. There were some things that he needed to improve on. And I think he checked all those boxes. So I'm super proud of this young man. He is a great kid. He comes from an outstanding family, and he has just put in the work to have a great year. He's one of the best players on this team. I think he is one of the biggest leaders on this team. And if he didn't do that, if he didn't step up and be the leader that he has been, then this Auburn team would not have had the year that they have. I firmly believe that. So for all those reasons, I think that Cooper McMurray is the MVP. He's the most valuable player on this team.
It's a great pick, Dustin. Well said. One of the all-timers, in my opinion. I think Cooper McMurray will go down as an Auburn baseball legend and a guy that transferred in here from Kansas. And we lose Sonny D, and we're searching, man. We're looking around like, where are we going to get our next guy? And we get Cooper freaking McMurray. What a gift! What a gift he was.
It's nice.
Yeah, you get 3 years out of that dude of just constant success. You talk about him hitting the weight program and losing the weight to make a change in his game. Just incredible stuff. But now I have my pick for MVP.
It's a good pick, Blake.
This dude right here, I think, needs to be looked at like Auburn basketball fans look at Dylan Cardwell. Because Ike, he's not going to be here as long as Dylan was. But I think what Ike Irish has done for Auburn baseball may be at the top of it all. I think the way he has put Auburn on the map, and he shows up every single weekend, just over and over and over. And people are showing up to Auburn games to see who? They're showing up to see Ike Irish. Scouts are filling the place up, wanting to see Ike Irish. All eyes are on Auburn baseball, wanting to see Ike Irish. And he's a kid from the state of Michigan. And he picked Auburn, Alabama to play collegiate baseball. And I think he loves Auburn with all his heart, man. And you see it every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You see it every single time. I mentioned the play with Chris Stanfield out there, letting the people know. How about the trip to Austin, Texas, when nobody, not a soul showed up?
Yeah.
Who showed up?
It's a fact.
Ike Irish showed up.
Yeah.
Knoxville, Tennessee. They said, Ike, what pissed y'all off the most? He said, they didn't play the damn national anthem. He said, and it got us. He said, then old Doyle said something to Rembert. He said, and sometimes you got to humble a man, and I just had to be the one to humble him. And he hit the 2-run shot in Knoxville. He showed up time and time and time again. He showed up with moving from catcher to right field. Last year, when things weren't great, Coop went down with an injury. He moved from catcher to 1B. Like, there's things of being a teammate and doing what's best for your team. Being able to play multiple positions and move all across the outfield when you're a damn catcher. And you're projected as the top 1 to 2 catcher off the board in the MLB draft. And you say, hey, man, this ain't about me. It's about Auburn. It's about the team. I'll do whatever in the hell I got to do for us to be great. I don't care about playing catcher. I care about winning. And that is Ike Irish for me. That is why he is your most valuable player. I think, man, what he's done for Auburn, just, I mentioned the thing with Frank out front. If you go to Omaha and Ike has that postseason success and he goes on, I think you got to put something out there for him. He's just one of those players, man, where you gotta celebrate him. And he's just been phenomenal every single time out. And I think he loves Auburn. You know, I think you see him having fun too. The bleaching his hair blonde and ice instead of ice baby, it's Ike baby, uh, and he's just having fun with it, man. And you always see him being the top notch competitor and bringing it every single weekend, and in the midweeks too, he brings it. So he's a guy that shows up for me every single time. I think the world of Ike Irish. Think the world of him as a person, as a baseball player, all that stuff, man. He has been the ultimate teammate and professional in his
Yeah.
time at Auburn. I just he's hands down got my vote, and I think he's been terrific. So that wraps up the regular season awards. Look, I know we're at an hour and 5 minutes, so we'll hurry up and talk about this SEC tournament real quick and just kind of the path that Auburn's got. Dustin, what do you think? We got Texas A&M and Mississippi State in
Yeah,
that game.
play the winner, yeah.
Yeah, we play the winner, and that will be Wednesday. We got the late night game. Got the late night game. It's going to be about 8 o'clock, weather permitting. Now, weather always is a factor in Hoover. We all know that. SEC tournament, it always rains, and hell, one night we were playing at 1:30 in the morning.
Yep.
So you never know with Hoover. It's a crazy weekend. But it's talking about. Brett asked, can Auburn get a top 8 national seed? Do you think Auburn has to win that first game against A&M or Mississippi State, whichever one, to basically secure this top 8 seed? Like, or do you think they've done enough already? Or let me ask you this: how do you view the SEC tournament? Do you want rest? Do you want to lose early and get out? Tell me how you feel about it.
I think that we are at the point now. Disclaimer: if Auburn's going to strap up and play a sport, I want us to win it while it's going on. But I think we're at the point in college sports to where these postseason conference tournaments and championship games just don't really matter. What is Auburn going to do? I mean, I guess if Auburn goes on like a big run, then perfect world, I would love for Auburn to win every damn game in this tournament and nobody get hurt. And it'd just be this great, here we go. But if I had my choice, man, I look back to the last time we made the College World Series and we lost 3-1 to Kentucky. First game. Yep. And I raised my hand and say I was one of the people that was like, I don't like that. And then we went on the way to Omaha and it didn't mean anything. I just don't know. Like basketball, the committee's shown you they don't care about the conference tournament anymore. I could make the argument that in football, under the current system, it's actually a detriment to you to make it. I would rather be what Tennessee did. It sucks that they had to go on the road to Columbus, but I mean, you get into the playoffs without having to play that other game that those other teams do. So it just doesn't really mean a whole lot to me, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I would like for us to win that first game, just to kind of put like one more, right? Where you're not going into the postseason, into the tournament, having lost 3 out of 4. But ultimately, it just doesn't mean a lot to me, bud.
Losing 3 out of 4 is crazy. I think there was another Auburn team that did that, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just I just look. I want everybody to be healthy, so I want more rest. More games mean more of an opportunity. When Auburn has already played 30 SEC games, okay, Auburn's already gone to Texas. No, didn't go how we wanted it to. Gone to Georgia. I know they didn't, go how we wanted it to, but you swept LSU. Like you've played Alabama. I mean, we could go down the list. Tennessee. We know the teams Auburn has played. What is this? What is this week going to show? You know what Auburn is. And so I hope that what the regular season would be enough to prove. Did we finish up third in RPI? I know we were third going into yesterday. We may have been able to jump into the second spot. Auburn's played the gauntlet. We've beat the good teams. I even like the series that we got swept, like Georgia, I felt like we gave the damn series away. For sure, gave game 1 away in that one. But I felt like we gave the series away. I felt like we should have won 2 out of 3, hands down, without a doubt there. So, like, I just look at what Auburn's been all regular season long. I look at the way I could make an argument that some guys are peaking. I think we're a top 8 seed, and I would be really disappointed if they felt like Auburn was a top 8 seed. And then something that happened at midnight on Wednesday in Hoover changed their mind on that. like one game like that would kind of disappoint me and piss me off. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Auburn's a top 8 seed, and I'll make this point, Brett. If we're not, we should be close enough to where hosting a super is still a good possibility. Like,
Yeah.
are all 8 gonna make it out? I mean, you never know. So, all in all, man, yeah, I hesitate to say I don't care, but you ask if I had to pick rest, yeah, I would pick less games and going into the postseason because more games is more opportunities for people to get hurt. And Auburn's already sitting in a really, really good spot. I don't know how much more we could improve upon where we're at. And what I'm going to be watching now is like I mentioned, we've seen in basketball how the committee have just told you we
Yeah.
don't care about the conference tournament.
Yep.
I'm not going to be watching just Auburn. I'm going to be watching a lot of these teams on the bubble this week around college baseball, and I want to see what they tell us. Is it the same message? And I think it will be, at least for teams in the SEC. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't play to everybody.
Yeah.
What am I going to show you? And I was talking to my buddy, big LSU fan, and he made the point to me. He said, "You know what?" He said, "I don't care about it either." He said, "Because to me, the SEC tournament starts in Omaha." And I was like, that's a good point. The best SEC teams are going to be there. Probably half of the 8 are going to be from the SEC. That's when we'll find out who the SEC champion is when they're crowned the national champion. So
That's a fact. That is a fact. Look, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I was sitting here and I was like, man, I want Auburn to go to the SEC tournament and win it because, we just haven't had a lot of success there. And
yeah, for sure.
we've won the basketball tournament. We've won SEC championships in football. So I was like, man, I want us to go and just be on the mountaintop in Hoover one time and just kind of redirect that view on us as not being successful there and just turn it all around. But now I look at this and I'm like, dude, your resume is stacked. And I'm with you, man. There's just not like we talk about it all the time. Postseason tournaments, like these conference tournaments, don't mean a dang thing. And we've been told that
Yeah.
multiple times. And now in college football, they're talking about expanding the thing to 16 teams, and you're going to end up with 8-4 teams in the college football playoff. It's crazy to me. So you're just telling me that these conference championships don't matter. That's what you're telling me. That's where we're at now in college sports. I think you're going to get to a point where you're eventually just not even going to play them anymore.
Agreed.
So, and they're talking about expanding the basketball tournament. I mean, eventually they're going to expand the baseball tournament and stuff. Instead of 16 national seeds, you're going to have 24 national seeds. It's just going to be something stupid like that. Because everybody, we live in an age where everybody gets a participation trophy, and you want to get everybody in there to make more money and get more games on TV. So I'm with you, man. I want to win that first one to kind of lock up that top 8 national seed and beat a team like Texas A&M and Mississippi State. Look, Mississippi State's really hot right now. Texas A&M, they're reeling. They got swept by Missouri. They lose to Georgia. You got Mississippi State, who fires their coach. They started out 1-8 in SEC play. They finish up 15-15. Absolutely incredible turnaround. Just to even come close to that is insane. So I would love to lock that one up and win that. But then going into LSU, if you won that first one, you go to LSU on a Friday night, I believe. And look, I don't think the committee is going to hold that one against you, whichever way it goes. You swept them in the regular season. If you were to drop a game to them in Hoover, I don't think it's going to matter, and I don't think they're going to care. So that's where I kind of sit on it. If you beat them, hey, you're for sure locked into the top 8 national seed. If you don't, oh well, I still think you're locked. And so that's where I'm at with it, Dustin.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, an hour and 15 in, man. Look, that's a baseball episode right there. We had a lot to cover, and giving out them awards went a little longer than what we expected, but it was fun. It's been a great year. The Auburn Baseball Tigers are headed back to the postseason. Dustin, you got any final thoughts? You want to give a shout out of any kind?
Look, it had to be. It had to be a bounce back year, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we did last year is not acceptable, and we all know that. And then I think the pressure was on Butch in the program when you look at the expansions to the to Plainsman Park and the money that's been put into the program, you had to perform, man. They spent money, they get new seats, new facilities, they're giving you all this stuff. You got to show up and get it done. And there was a lot of questions about the pitching coach. Lord knows I had him. So shout out to him for putting together a good staff and a solid bullpen that's got the job done all year. And I just think this team is really, really dangerous, man. I think that you've got good leadership. I think this team is an all-around, well-balanced team. Whether you look at in the field, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They tend to make the plays they need to make at the important times. Pitching is bullpen's above average, in my opinion. As long as Sam Dutton gets back to being, what we know he can be, I think we're good as far as the rotation goes. You got guys. I really hope that you're right about Cam Tilly kind of finding his way. So it had to be what it was this year, and Butch delivered. I'm not surprised. So now we're looking forward, and you're saying, for me, Blake, if this team gets out of the regional, you know how we talked about with basketball, where we said if they go to the Elite Eight and beyond and they lose to a close team, then I'll be okay. I want them to win it all. And you know what happened? You went and you lost to the eventual national champion in the Final Four in a tight game. We're going to look back on it as a great year, best in Auburn basketball history. We're not going to be mad at it. Same thing for baseball here. If they get out the regional, I think this team, I'm with you. I mean, I think they have the ability to compete in Omaha to win the national championship. But if they were to lose game 3, close, tight game to a really good team in a super regional, I wouldn't be mad. But this team's got to get out of the regional, especially after what happened the last time we hosted one. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. It's about, and you still got some guys. Cooper was on that team, Ike was on that team, so they got an opportunity to kind of right that wrong. You're 2 leaders, and I think they will, man. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about the way this baseball team is playing, and you know that term I use about juice all the time. This team's got it, bro. This team's got plenty of it. So it's fun to watch, and they've been fun to watch all year. I'm really proud of this group for bouncing back and getting it together.
Love that, Dustin. I agree 100%. Look, like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel, y'all. We appreciate each and every one of y'all for joining us. Hey, that's going to do it for this baseball episode. We will see y'all Tuesday night. Talk a little football, Dustin.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Hugh Freeze has some interesting comments. We can talk about that if you guys want. Bowl game, he said.
Look, some took it one way. I took it as, I just think it could have been worded a little bit differently. And we'll talk about it Tuesday night. So look, it's War Damn Eagle forever. We love y'all. We're out of here.